Students, faculty, and alumni gathered to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism.
Streaming service Twitch cracks down on betting, banning broadcasting of many popular virtual gambling games.
USC labs are now in clinical trials to create drugs that could potentially prevent and hinder the development of early-stage Alzheimer's.
Annenberg TV News is next.
USC President Carol Folt hopes Annenberg will continue to stand up to misinformation in the future. Good evening, I'm Eric Choi.
And I'm Mariey Vinnett. As it celebrates 50 years, the Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism has no shortage of prominent alumni and supporters. Students and faculty gathered together in the Wallace Annenberg Forum for lessons and reflections on the last half-century. Celebrations were postponed 1 year due to COVID-19. Deans, past and present, talked about the anniversary's significance.
So we decided to celebrate this year, 1 year after the 50th anniversary, because we really wanted everybody to have the opportunity to come together. And we're a huge community. Right here on campus, there are 2,300 of us with 22,000 alumni, right, scattered across the globe. So in order to be able to bring people together in different groups and different combinations and different ways of celebrating, we really wanted to be at a moment when it was healthy and safe to do so.
It is a privilege to be at a school like this. There are several hundred communication and journalism schools. None of them have the platform that we have.
Other speakers at last night's 50th celebration included USC President Carol Folt and several notable alumni who are trailblazers in their respective fields. Philanthropist Wallace Annenberg also shared her thoughts about Annenberg's past, present, and future.
We needed a world-class school for communication and journalism long before we knew we did, and we need one now more than ever before. That's why, in all my decades of philanthropy, nothing has been more important than my support, my family's support, for the USC Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism.
Students across every concentration came together for a rare program-wide luncheon to celebrate the anniversary.
I think coming from a school like Annenberg means excellency, as they discussed throughout this event.
I really enjoyed listening to every speaker, and I really appreciated hearing what the thoughts of last night's event.
For me, it was definitely just a pleasure hearing about the history of our school. Even as a student, I feel like we don't get to do that, like learn about that in our classes, so it was really cool to be at an event where that was like the highlight and focal point.
Wallace Annenberg gave Dean Bay and former deans Wilson and Cowan $250,000 gifts for their, quote, understanding of what this school could be.
The races for LA Mayor and LA County Sheriff are heating up as the top two candidates for both jobs will face off in back-to-back debates tonight. Reporter Darrielle joins us in the studio with the details.
Thank you, Eric. Tonight's debates are hosted by the LA Times and other media partners. It's the first time voters will get the chance to watch candidates in both races in a live televised debate ahead of the November election. First in the race for mayor, Representative Karen Bass and developer Rick Caruso will go head-to-head. We spoke to political science professor at LMU who highlighted key issues the candidates are expected to address tonight.
Number one is going to be homelessness. Number two is going to be public safety. Number three, they're going to talk a little bit about corruption. And then, it's really a lot about the quality of life issues. It could be mobility, traffic, services, things of that nature.
In the race for sheriff, Long Beach Police Chief Robert Luna will try and convince voters why he should replace the incumbent sheriff Alex Villanueva. One political science expert shares his thoughts on what undecided voters will want to know.
Luna also probably has to tell us enough about him to create a portrait that is better than the portrait that the sheriff is going to paint of him. But he also has to be very clear and aggressive to make sure that he doesn't lose control of the steering wheel of the conversation at the same time.
Tonight's debate comes at a crucial time for voters, just as mail-in ballots are expected to go out in just 3 weeks. Reporting live in studio, I'm Darrielle Fair.
Thanks, Darrielle. Former President Donald Trump, Free of His Adult Children, and the Trump Organization was sued this morning by the New York State Attorney General for financial fraud.
The complaint demonstrates that Donald Trump falsely inflated his net worth by billions of dollars to unjustly enrich himself and to cheat the system, thereby cheating all of us.
The 220-page lawsuit alleges the fraud lasted over a decade and touched all aspects of the Trump business, including his properties and golf courses. We spoke to a legal expert on what this means going forward.
This is a big deal case because it's coming from the New York State Attorney General's office. We have an election on November 8th, a very high stakes election coming up. So all I'm saying is the timing of this is hitting our country at a time that's especially tense. As we approach this election, I expect that the level of vitriol will continue to escalate.
Trump also faces a federal investigation over his storage of classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago home in Florida. He's denied any wrongdoing in the various investigations.
Santa Monica County officials no longer want LA County's needle exchange program held at Reid Park. They want it moved to an indoor location away from the public. The mayor wrote a letter to public health officials calling for the program to be relocated after recent community backlash. A USC public health professor gave us more insight about the effectiveness of these sites.
Safe injection sites or drug consumption sites are effective both at preventing overdose deaths. They also help with hospitalizations. A recent study just published documenting that people who used an unsanctioned safe consumption site in the United States were less likely to be hospitalized.
Talks to move the syringe exchange program come as fentanyl-related deaths are rising in Los Angeles, reaching more than 1,300 deaths in 2021. That's a 40% increase from the year before. Just in the past month, 7 teenagers have overdosed. 1 of them died. Both county and Santa Monica city leaders are discussing possible relocation solutions. Until a decision is reached, the needle exchange will continue to operate out of Reid Park.
More than 6 million Americans currently suffer from Alzheimer's disease. Today, on World Alzheimer's Day, some USC professors are trying to change that.
Alzheimer's disease is often the car crash. We try to fix it by clearing out the symptoms. But sometimes the symptoms don't really address the underlying causes. So you can't really fix why a car got into a car crash without understanding how the car was driving to begin with.
Several labs at USC are trying to develop new treatments to prevent the disease or slow down its progression. The research involves a collective effort across multiple USC departments and hospitals. Scientists involved in the project say they know progress against Alzheimer's has been slow, but that progress is being made.
It's the most feared disease of aging. It's very, very common, affects every family. And so I would like to spread a message of optimism that we've made a lot of progress as hard as this work has been. And many of us have been working on this for decades. We now see huge progress, and we think that effective treatments will be available soon.
4 new drugs that attack the toxin causing the disease are being developed at USC. They're currently undergoing late-stage trials and will be available next year.
A new USC major caters to students interested in business and entertainment. Details just ahead.
A new plan proposed by the LA City Council aims to build more than 3,000 shelters at bus stops throughout the Los Angeles area.
USC has revamped its dining plan this year, bringing several new vendors to campus and tightening restrictions on where meal swipes can be used.
Worried your friend's struggling but don't know how to reach out?
You could say how are you or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could write them a text or knit them a sweater. If you can't be together, you could write them a letter. Whatever gets you talking. You could chat on the game, kick off your flip-flops. You can ask on your couch while you binge watch. However you do it, you gotta ask a friend. And if they don't share, you can ask again.
Whatever gets you talking. Whatever gets you talking.
There are a lot of ways to reach out to a friend about their mental health. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
USC Marshall School of Business just announced a new 4-year joint degree program with the School of Cinematic Arts. We talked to students from both schools to get their thoughts on the new Business of Cinematic Arts major.
I thought it was kind of strange that it is in the Marshall School rather than a new branch of business administration within cinematic arts. Just based on the way the current film industry is running, I do find a little worry that it is in Marshall, because to me that signals that USC would prefer that their student graduates, especially those who are coming out with business administration and an emphasis in cinematic arts, are more profit-driven rather than more creatively driven.
Right now, only first-year students and a few spring admits can enroll in the program, which is designed to bridge the gap between entertainment and business. Students will be required to complete an industry internship as a part of the program.
I think it's good that they're, giving that opportunity to students who are interested in it. I think it's a little bit weird that it's in Marshall and not SCA, because you wouldn't really think that like SCA would be in Marshall, and I think you could just have them both separately, like the SCA one in SCA and the Marshall one in Marshall.
The new program will include guest visits from industry leaders at companies like Hulu, FX, and MTV. Twitch, the popular live streaming platform owned by Amazon, has announced a ban on streaming unlicensed gambling sites. Critics say Twitch streamers who feature gambling on their channels are promoting harmful content to children. Children and teens make up a huge portion of Twitch's overall audience. Some of the banned content includes the site's most popular categories of streaming: people playing slot machines virtually. The ban takes effect on October 18th and includes slots, roulettes, and dice websites. It does not include websites focused on sports betting, fantasy sports, or poker.
The announcement comes just days after some of the platform's biggest streamers threatened to quit if Twitch didn't change its policy on gambling streams. Among these advocates is streamer Devin Nash, who has more than 147,000 followers. He says the ban is a good start, but doesn't go far enough.
Literally doesn't say anything about banning gambling. It just says we're taking a look at some of these websites that are more questionable, and we're going to try to make some decisions to try to help people become safer. We're hoping that what this means is that there's going to be more consumer protections, but gambling's not going away. Due to this announcement, gambling's not going away on Twitch. It's still alive and well.
Experts and critics alike will be watching closely to see just how much this policy change really accomplishes. The LA City Council has approved a new plan to install new shelters and shade structures at bus stops across the city. That's welcome news for many USC students who rely on public transportation.
Usually, I only commute when I need to get to places, I guess. If it's around the USC area, I usually just walk. If I'm going to places like downtown, I'll take the metro or the bus.
It's called the Streets Amenities Plan. The goal is to build more than 3,000 bus stop shelters and 450 shade structures over the next 10 years. The program is expected to cost at least $30 million. So far, only $1 million has been approved. Priority for the new shelters will be given to high traffic stops and stops in hot areas. Shelters will also be built at stops near landmarks and low-income neighborhoods. City officials say they hope the program will cover 75% of bus stops in each of the city's 15 council districts.
Restaurants at USC's Tudor Campus Center have changed some aspects of their accepted payments method. From now on, students can only use 2 meal swipes per week at Tudor Center campus. That's bad news for a lot of students. Many say they'd rather eat at one of the center's new restaurants instead of the increasingly unpopular dining halls.
I am personally not a fan of this new change. I feel like it doesn't let us use the our meal swipes in the way that we want to for the price that we're paying.
It's like, on campus, sometimes you're busy and you just want to grab a quick meal and you can't even do that. So it's like, pretty inconvenient.
Whereas dining halls are very hit or miss. Definitely don't see myself getting a meal plan again if it's like this.
Just a reminder, the Ronald Tudor Campus Center only accepts 2 meal swipes per week, but Everybody's Kitchen, Parkside Dining and Grill, and the USC Village dining halls all do.
Well, it's a beautiful and mild sunny day in Los Angeles today. We're going to hear more about the weather. We'll toss it over to Mariela.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Eric and Maya, and welcome back to all of our viewers back home. We hope you are enjoying the last day of summer, although it is really not feeling like fall. Fall is right around the corner, coming tomorrow, but let's take a look at our current temperatures right over here. You're looking at a sunny 76 degrees with 55% humidity. Just perfect Southern California weather. I do recommend wearing a light jacket because it's going to start getting a little breezy. Let's take a look at your 5-day forecast right over here. On Thursday and Friday, you are looking at the mid-80s with lows in the 60s. Saturday and Sunday, you are looking at temperature in the high 80s and reaching the 90s on Sunday. On Monday, you are looking at 91 with lows in the 60s. I just want to take a moment to really be grateful for our current weather and environmental conditions. As Puerto Rico, Hurricane Fiona has intensified to Category 4. This means winds have even reached 156 miles, causing catastrophic damage and sweeping power outages all across the country. Earlier today, Fiona sustained 130 mile per hour wind and it's moving north to Caicos. To help those in Puerto Rico, Project Hope is accepting donations to provide medical assistance and direct relief. We are sending our prayers to Puerto Rico. That is all I have for you today. Let's check in with sports.
USC women's volleyball faces a familiar foe across town. Football prepares for a tough test up north. And USC women's soccer looks to chop down the Cardinal again as they open Pac-12 play. All that and more next on Sports.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay. Yeah. Hey, Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, "Read your lease. No pets allowed." My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
Welcome back to ATVN Sports. I'm Carlo Jimenez.
And I'm Joey Elbaum. Former UCLA basketball player Jalen Hill has died at 22 years old. In an Instagram post on Tuesday, Hill's family announced they learned about his death after he went missing in Costa Rica. UCLA men's basketball and head coach Mick Cronin released statements on their Twitters Tuesday night. Cronin's tweet read, "The news of Jalen Hill's passing is heartbreaking. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family at this time. Jalen was a warm-hearted young man with a great smile who left us far too soon." Hill played parts of 3 seasons at UCLA. Hill started in 40 games and averaged 6.5 points and 6 rebounds in his career with the Bruins. Last February, Hill retired from basketball due to anxiety and depression factors. There are no further details regarding Hill at this time.
The Trojans are studying up to go beaver hunting in Corvallis, and we wanted to give you the study guide on Oregon State. Here on ATVN Wednesdays, we are starting a new segment called Meet the Opponent, where we tell you all about who matters and what matters for this weekend's football game.
Do a good job in their different personnel groupings. They're very creative with the personnel that they use. Quarterback's playing good ball for him. You see his experience starting to show up more and more as he gets more game reps. It'll be a big challenge for us, there's no question.
And I mean, if you're not going to take my word for it, take Coach Riley's. Oregon State's quarterback, Chance Nolan, has 746 yards and 7 touchdowns after the Beavers' first 3 games. He's completed 61% of his passes. As a third-year quarterback, Riley says Nolan's experience is starting to show up. In order to get through the Beaver Dam on Saturday, the Trojans' defense will have to contain Chance Nolan.
Redshirt senior Jack Coletto, a.k.a. the Jackhammer, is a physical, athletic, two-way player the Trojans need to control. Coletto gave the Trojans nightmares last year, recording 2 rushing touchdowns and an interception. Coletto was the first FBS player since 2004 to have 2 tutties and an INT in the same game. Jack has already been a keystone piece this year with 3 touchdowns on just 6 carries for the Beavers. 2 weeks ago, Coletto had the walk-off touchdown run to secure a comeback victory against Fresno State. If the Trojans want to leave Corvallis with Beaver skins, they need to keep Coletto under control. Last time the Trojans and the Beavers faced off, OSU downed USC at home for the first time since 1960. The game was never close as Oregon State shredded the Trojans 45-27. USC defensive players Tuli Tulipilotu and Raylan Goforth talked about the lingering painful memories from last year's game.
I had to watch the game from last year. I had to watch that game.
Was it tough?
It was tough to watch, but you know we're over already and ready to work.
What did you watch it?
I know that's in the past, but man, that game it was like a revenge.
I watched it Sunday, so and I'm gonna watch it again. just to see things that that they might come back to, things that worked for them. So just pick up on where I left off. If you want to be great, you got to watch the tough things. So.
Well, as we welcome you back to the desk here, Joey, a big game this weekend, maybe the most hostile environment the Trojans face early in this season. What's your key to Saturday's contest?
Look, I mean, we've heard it through the first 3 weeks, and we're going to hear it again all season for these Trojans. If they want to win at the highest level that people are saying they can make it to, it all comes down to the defense. I mean, last season when the Beavers absolutely killed the Trojans, it was over 300 yards rushing game. If the Trojans want to contain this Beaver offense, which is a strong offense, averaging 45 points per game, USC averages 50, but this is the closest any team has come to USC's number. This is going to be a tough game. In Corvallis, they got to stop the run game.
Yeah, I agree. You got to stop the run. The Trojans have struggled with that through their first 3 games. You also have to score quickly if you're USC. Trojans have scored touchdowns on their opening 2 drives in their last 3 games. That's allowed them to create some space between the opponent, and on the road, that takes the crowd out of the game. You have to make sure you score early if you're USC.
Absolutely. And Carlo, I just have to ask you now, looking at this game on Saturday, who is your star of the game? Who will be the player of the game after Saturday's matchup?
That's a great question. I think it's going to have to be a guy like Raylan Goforth, who talked about earlier the pain of watching last year's game. In that middle linebacker position, he's got to step up. He has to make tackles at the line of scrimmage, and he has to make sure he stalls the running game of Oregon State.
Right, all righty. And women's volleyball opens Pac-12 play on Thursday against UCLA in Westwood. The women of Troy will take on the Bruins at 7 p.m. at Pauley Pavilion. USC looks to build on their 3-match win streak after last weekend's sweep in the Trojan Challenge. Senior outside hitter Skylar Fields is a player to watch tomorrow night. She comes into the match with a team-leading 161 kills. Fields was awarded MVP of the Trojan Challenge. She is joined by Amelia Vesca and Gala Trubant on the all-tournament team. Both teams have had a solid start to their seasons. USC's played a couple more matches than UCLA and won them both, but the stats are basically even. This really will be quite the Pac-12 opener for both teams.
The number 5 ranked USC Trojans water polo team heads to the Bay Area this weekend for the MPSF Invite. USC enters the tournament as defending champions after sweeping the California competition last year. Massimo De Martire leads the charge for USC with 21 goals through their first 10 matches. The graduate student from Italy was honored earlier this season as MPSF Player of the Week after scoring 6 goals in a win over Long Beach State.
Women's soccer takes on the 19th ranked Stanford Cardinal on Friday. The Trojans will kick off at 2 p.m. at Sony McAllister Field. Forward Simone Jackson leads the Trojans this season with 3 goals. Last season, forward Croy Bethune scored a game-winning goal to beat the Cardinal in overtime. And that's all we have for sports today. Until next time, he's been Carlo. I'm Joey. Back to you, Eric.
Thanks, guys. LA County announces a new student Go Pass to help bring public transport to community college students. More on that after the break.
Lávate las manos por 20 segundos como Elmo.
Hay algo especial acerca de este lugar. Se siente como un hogar, una sala debajo del cielo y los árboles. Rodeado de aire fresco y la naturaleza. Todo aquí para que lo disfrutemos y para que lo cuidemos. Tenemos la responsabilidad de cuidar de esta tierra que llamamos casa, de preservarla para las generaciones que vienen. Cada acción pequeña contribuye para un cambio mayor y cada uno de nosotros podemos hacer la diferencia. Hay algo especial acerca de este bosque. Es un lugar donde se hacen recuerdos y juntos podemos preservarla y protegerla.
This is a new program to help students at LA City's community colleges get to class. LA County is calling the program Student Go Pass. The program gives all LA Community College District students free transportation on metro trains and buses. It also covers rides on municipal transit services operated by individual cities. District attorneys say that it's about saving students money during a time of rising gas prices and inflation.
It's going to help the students come to school. It will take a burden off of them, thinking of how to get for transportation since everything's so expensive. And even if they drive, you know, they don't have to drive their car. They can use a tap car, and that's saving money too, and the gas since it's so expensive as well.
Money to pay for the Student Go Pass program is coming from a $1 million federal grant. Nearly 230,000 community colleges students could benefit. That's all we've got for today. Thanks so much for watching Annenberg TV News from everyone at Annenberg Media. I'm Eric Choi.
And I'm Mariey Vinnett. For more coverage, watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Annenberg Media. Good night.
Night.